Welcome to INS, the International News Service, your source for the most important weird news from across the globe. With news analyst Kevin Harrison, actor, comedian, and musician Mike Wiebe, and professional commentator Brian Camp. INS, the news you need.
What I was going to say was, it's not Burger King. You can't have it your way.
I wish I remember what caused you to say that the last time. I'm going to put that in my back pocket for the next time somebody wants me to do anything for them ever.
And I know this dates the show in a certain time period, but
we've never done that before.
We'll try to avoid that if we can.
What is going on with the Trump FBI thing?
I mean, they raided his house because
they raided his house.
Yeah, and his hotel, and it,
in Mar-a-Lago too, which is a shame because so you guys know that I named my daughter Mar-a-Lago, and
you don't talk about her very often.
Well, I mean, you've seen what she looks like. Basically one giant freckle. She looks like a very Irish, but like weird, like, ugh.
I find the Irish to be beautiful people.
Yes.
Oh, no, but I'm saying they are. They're the most beautiful people, but occasionally there's one, and it's this kid. And it's that, she's 90% me. She's got freckles on her teeth.
That's something different. That's hard water. That's something.
Freckles on her palms. Palms of her hand has freckles. The bottoms of her feet. But I don't let her wear bare feet. So now, she's all weird about her appearance, and now she keeps hearing like, there's a bunch of trouble went down at Mar-a-Lago, and she's too dumb to figure out they're not talking about her.
Yeah.
So I got to deal with this kid yelling, screaming. I'm keep hoping things are going to turn around this year.
What? So the FBI raided. There's I guess they had to season some evidence to say what they were looking for.
Yeah, but I don't know what they're seasoned at all.
Documents.
Salad?
Yeah. Documents. Seasoned salad?
Yeah.
Is that your favorite kind?
Yeah.
I love seasoned salad.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Salt?
Yeah.
They got cheese, chicken.
Sometimes salmon.
Well, I don't know. I literally didn't hear about that until right before we got on this call, and I was like, what the fuck? What's happening?
Well, this is the International News Service.
Do I need to go down there and fucking take care of some shit?
How much could that hurt?
What? Me taking care of the situation?
Yeah, that's right.
This is what happened. This is just investigating a crime. This is how that's done, right?
Just be sure you say that a lot whenever anybody questions you. I'm just here to investigate a crime.
One more question. Just one more question.
I thought this was still America and the Peter Falk.
You gotta practice your lazy eye.
Yeah. It's getting there. Oh, it's getting there. I'm getting a sleepy eye. You know about those? It's like under your eyebrow, it just starts to hang a little bit, like old people and shit.
Okay, yeah.
Mine's getting real bad. I'm thinking about trying to do a little corrective surgery next time I go down Mexico way.
Yeah. I believe that's called hooded eyes.
Hooded eyes. I'm getting one hooded eye.
Yep.
I don't like it either.
Yeah.
Well, if it interferes with your vision, you can, and you have any kind of insurance.
You know that covered. I don't.
Well, you got the amulet, so you decided to.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Yeah, there's and I'm assuming. I'm assuming that I'm getting the hood eye, not out of aging. It's because of lich fighting.
That's right. It's the curse. The curse of the amulet.
Yeah.
There's a cackling witch woman somewhere right now.
Yeah.
You're finally getting your comeuppance.
There's a bargain that must be struck. And I feel like it's going to have me doing some weird shit.
Right. Her face is smooth as glass.
Yeah.
You're slowly getting hooded eyes.
Yeah.
So you guys ready?
Well, sure.
We off to the races?
Drag racing or just
gonna bet on some ponies?
Oh, horse racing.
Yeah.
You guys ever been to a dog track?
Yeah, I have actually. I was at a casino that had a dog track. And then I spent the time at the casino while my aunts were betting like 10-cent bets that would pay off like $1,500 on the dogs. And you know what? They didn't win any of those bets.
We should go to the dog track.
Where is the dog track?
And then there's some in Florida still.
Is it bad? Is it like wrong or something like that? I don't know
if that's okay or not.
Dogs like to run.
Yeah, as long as you get like some kind of pleasure from watching the dog suffer, I don't think it's that bad.
But dogs like to run.
Yeah, they do.
Especially greyhounds.
They chase a little like fake rabbit is what it's like a little fake rabbit on a rail is what they chase around the track.
Like in many a Bugs Bunny cartoon. We've seen that happen. I think that in the history of dog racing, the dogs on balance have not been treated well. But I think there is more of an effort to both care for the dogs a little more while they are of racing age, and also then to adopt them out rather than merely put them down in a pit somewhere.
Right.
Yeah, there's all kinds of greyhound rescues and stuff. Yeah.
I'm friends with somebody who like adopted a retired greyhound like 4 or 5 years ago. She loves it. She says it's a great dog.
Their pet happiness, is made possible by the dog racing industry.
Well, I don't know that that's right.
No, she never would have had a pet.
So, but they do. The dogs are allowed to blood dope, though, right?
Yeah, you do lots of packing. They've traveled around with coolers full of dog blood. Yeah. And if you can get one of those, it will fuck you up.
I started blood doping, but just for recreational purposes. It wasn't an exercise thing or a race thing. I just liked it. You take it out, you put it in your fridge. A couple of days later, you pop it back in, and that's when I would get busy on those porn games. That's when I would kind of practice. Right. So I guess there was an athletic quotient to it.
Working as hard as you can to eliminate all physical pleasure from any type of sexual thought or act.
Yeah, it took a while. But I'm pretty proud to say that I was,
Now I'm back to thinking about the porn games again, and what is the psychology?
Well, they dare you to play them and not come.
It's like sleeping in a haunted house.
They dare you.
Yeah.
And admittedly, that's what got me in.
Just a first level dare, or there?
I famously, you guys know, the character of Marty McFly was based after me, and one of the original things, one of the most dynamic part of him, the thing that you think about when you think about Marty McFly, is that he cannot stand being called chicken. It defined his entire personality, and we just didn't hear about it until the second movie at all. It just didn't. We're lucky that it didn't come up in the first movie.
Well, that's good filmmaking, right? They hold some stuff back.
Yeah. But much like that, which they got from me, I will not turn down dares. I don't like it. So, and then I get on my phone. I'm just planning on, scrolling through and leaving some comments on some pornography.
Like,
doing my little version of a little. I'm a little Pauline Kael for some of these pornographies, and then all of a sudden I got this ad in my face telling me that I can't do something, that it doesn't think that I can do something, that I'm going to get beaten by a machine.
Calling you out. It's like Paul Bunyan.
Exactly, or John Henry. I can't beat a machine. And you know what? There's actually a movie called John Henry where they have him trying to beat a machine.
Does he?
The machine is him. Yes.
Spoiler alert, damn.
It's tough work to commit yourself to something that is that difficult. And I'm one of the few people that has bested the Flash animation pornography game. Like a handful of us.
Just constantly.
I'm serious.
Just punching yourself in the dick the whole time.
You download this thing. And then you hit start. And especially when you first get started, like the first, day you're playing, it's start. Okay, here comes oh God. And it's that every time. It's that for the whole day. Like, you're lucky if you can make it a couple seconds.
I'm glad we've already classed this thing up.
Yeah.
So much with Mike's simulated orgasm. The classic embarrassed orgasm sound. Oh no.
Wait.
That come from like, that is kind of a trope, right?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I feel like that was a scene in every 90s sitcom.
Gotta go get a fucking razor blade to get that stuff off my phone.
Well, Brian's done for the episode.
All right. Maybe we should talk about, maybe we should just kind of rein it in.
We should get into the news.
There's some real serious stuff happening in the world right now. And I know we like to take things light every now and then. And
that was the tech corner. That was that was the INS tech corner. We just got it out front.
Right.
Kevin.
Welcome to the International News Service. We're your hosts. I'm Kevin Harrison, along with...
I am Brian Camp.
I'm esports champion Mike Wiebe.
What sport, Mike? Could you remind the listener?
Esports.
Oh, esports.
Yeah, esports.
Which esport?
Erotic.
So this week, we've got 2 news stories, a bonus story for our Patreon listeners, an arts and culture story, and then Mike's got a new segment in Get to Know Your Podcast.
Mike, I can't wait for that.
We are traveling down. We're continuing down that dirty, beautiful, hellish bitch goddess that is old Hollywood.
No. That's gonna be some real good stuff. But first, I think, Kevin, we've got some compelling news stories for the listener.
Yes. Oh, you're gonna be compelled
by the power of Christ.
So our first story comes to us from KPHO, CBS Channel 5 in Arizona.
KPHO.
KFO. So in late July, a boutique store in Phoenix, Arizona called Poor Little Rich Girl was burglarized by a cat burglar. This cat burglar was caught on camera wearing, as the owner described, right, it's already laughing. This cat burglar was caught on camera wearing, as the owner described it, quote, I saw what I believe is, I think, a woman in a cat costume that appears to have leopard spots on it. Phoenix police said the burglar appeared to be a woman wearing...
What police?
Phoenix police.
Continue.
Phoenix police said the burglar appeared to be a woman wearing a, quote, feline-type costume with high heels. The cat burglar grabbed 8 designer purses before noticing a camera and leaving. Phoenix police said, quote, maybe people will recognize the costume. Maybe this isn't the only time the costume has been out, unquote. It sounds like they're hoping for a lead in other crimes involving people wearing cat costumes in Phoenix.
Meow. Oh, excuse me. Meow. Phoenix always returns to the scene of the name. Probably difficult because it is very dry in Phoenix. It's tough to burn stuff down. So
I was about to say there wasn't. Was there a follow-up fire to this, or
yeah, that's
do you
what I was
think
about to
the
say.
crime was interrupted?
Maybe there was a fire sale. Sorry, cut that. That's terrible. Go ahead.
No, that's staying.
That's
solid.
There's a lot going on. First of all, this goes to show how poorly news organizations trade information. You know, it's a real problem.
Sure,
which is that's why like a lot of serial killers, you know, never get caught and stuff is because agencies are just very, I don't know why they're so standoffish with trading their information.
Well, they've been burnt before.
I'm about to get burnt again, literally in this case.
Oh, yeah.
Damn.
A meow. So did they mention if there was any clicking, clacking? What kind of jazz dance was going on during? I mean, I can see it in my mind's eye now. Just and then just like freezing for a second.
Well, there was no sound on the camera.
Oh, that's a problem.
Well, right. I mean, that's probably what has kept the police from connecting this to the other crimes in, I believe, Korea and in Western United States, or West, like coastal West.
What
United
I hear
States.
you saying is that these weren't high heels, but were actually tap shoes.
If they could hear, they would know that. Yeah.
You've seen Liza. I mean, you know what she can do. You've seen tap dancing on high heels, maybe by Liza's mom, the lovely Miss Judy Garland. They pumped her so full of dope that they killed her. But this is. I mean, I'm glad that Phoenix is. It does beg the question: why no arson? And what all was stolen again?
8 designer purses, and I think some accessories.
Do you think that there's a chance that this is the first time we've heard, and we're normally on the cutting edge of this kind of news for this type of crime, this underworld character that we're well aware of, and we've kind of been connecting the dots on our mental maps of the world because we are an international news service. Do you think this is the way, perhaps, that this particular contract arsonist is introducing themselves to a new market? In other words, if the normal calling card would be a complete burn down of this in a business, but by ensuring that this person was caught on camera, it's like letting all of the criminal the criminal element in Phoenix, whatever organized crime rings exist there, whatever groups really are looking for this type of work, it lets them know that, hey, there's a new operator in town.
Yeah, and basically what it's literally saying, what the literal word would be, back off, bitches. Now let me ask you this, Kevin. Did the story say whether or not there was a butthole drawn onto the back of the costume?
I could not tell.
A real butthole showing. And I know it said it was a lady, but I do feel like Phoenix, while male, is very lithe.
Oh, sure. Very aquiline features.
Yeah, and it very much, and definitely embodies a little bit of that Liza, a little bit of that Judy, a little bit of all those things, a little bit of all that jazz.
Well,
purse, purse, handbag, one from the rag.
I want to see a musical about an arsonist cat costume.
Yeah,
just that is with some real body movement skill would be, and it's fantastic.
It's the cool thing is yes, it's stealing, but it's also. I mean, some people say stealing is wrong. I think it depends on where from. I don't know. What was this? Claire's Boutique? No, this was...
Poor Little Rich Girl.
Okay, well, within the title, obviously. Yes. That's what you're going to name your shit? Okay, yeah. No, steal from there.
It maybe should have been burnt down. I feel like that was
honestly,
a missed opportunity.
And it might have been that Phoenix saw that there were some lovely handbags in there, maybe some other accessories, some scarves, some leg warmers, maybe. I'm hoping some sparkly leg warmers. Listen, this is a good place. Somebody that works here has good taste. I'm just gonna fuck shit up a little bit to send the message. Hey, maybe change your name to something other than spoiled rich cunt.
Oh man, Phoenix gets cooler and cooler. Do you think a good purse for Phoenix is one that you can store like multiple incendiary devices? Is that what would attract a character like Phoenix to? Yes,
that it would store small little incendiary devices, little special tools for getting into a place to properly burn it up.
Piles like of oily rags.
So maybe some oily rags, but probably some really like fine-tuned spy gear. Like it's like a suction cup, and then there's a little laser on it, and the laser goes around and it makes a hole in the glass, and then you just turn the power down, and then it's just a laser for you to chase around. That's what I think is probably going to get used in there.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
And I don't know. Hopefully some news story will I don't know who it is, but I am wondering. I'm guessing there is some sort of mastermind behind Phoenix's gadgets. Some sort of M or
a Q.
No, I don't think. I think Phoenix probably focuses on 1, arson, 2, mayhem and theft, and then 3, the art of dance, and the mistress of rhythm, and the husband of song.
Who is the husband of song?
Well, in this case, it's Phoenix. And Phoenix is also the mistress of rhythm.
That's
all things in there. So the focus is going to be on that. It's probably not going to be on the tech side. I don't know, but at some point, I think we will probably have a story that hopefully we will that clues us in.
Okay.
Right.
Well, we can always have follow up. We have had updates.
Yeah.
When we get new information in, and if we hear anything else about the Phoenix cat burglar, we'll be the first ones to update our listeners.
I mean, there's no way you don't in Phoenix goes to Phoenix.
I think we need to ask ourselves, to evaluate our own conclusions. Is there any chance here that we're being misled and this is actually a copycat?
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know. Did it say that the movements in stealing it were fabulous?
I watched the video. You just, you don't see it for very long.
Well, I mean, what are the odds that I wonder if, Phoenix 1 is someone who likely would fly very close to the sun and not be afraid to go to a town that shared his name.
Yeah. But that's why, Al Capone he would not step foot in Caponeville.
That's right. That's the whole missing third act of The Untouchables.
He would not even go to Alabama. That is a very bold and brash Phoenix move.
So our next story comes to us from NTV News in Japan.
You say MTV News in Japan?
N is in Nancy TV News.
Oh, that's a weird Nancy TV News.
Yeah.
Why would they call it Nancy TV News?
That comic strip Nancy is just huge in Japan.
They have to have a Kurt Loder over there, right?
Mm-hmm.
NTV News.
He's dead, right?
He's still.
He will never die. He's got one of the amulets. He's got an amulet.
He's old as fuck though.
Right. He's got a little piece of the amulet, and it's given him unnaturally long life.
So on May 15th, a 3-wheeled Harley Davidson.
May the 15th be with you.
It's May 4th.
Now I realized that. Yeah, I was thinking about Star Wars.
Yeah,
and it is the 4th. It is the 4th.
Yes,
it is and actually, now that I think about it, that totally makes sense. It totally makes sense. May the 4th. Okay, yeah, because I was saying May the 15th be with you.
Yeah.
And people were like, "What?" And I was just like, fucking Chewbacca and Kylo Ren. So and people will be like, "What are you talking about? May the 15th be with you. Laser sight lightsaber."
Yeah. Light.
And then anyway, now and that makes sense. I feel like an idiot now. Continue.
Right.
Okay. As long as you feel like an idiot, we can move on.
Well, that's why pencils have erasers to rub vigorously on a problem until it goes away.
So on May 15th, a 3-wheeled Harley Davidson tricycle in Tokyo struck a car, causing approximately $2,900 in damage. The tricycle fled the scene, and Tokyo Metropolitan Police launched an investigation to identify the vehicle. 2 months later, a patrol car saw the motor tricycle, which sped off, but police eventually caught the rider. When police asked the rider for his driver's license, the 69-year-old...
I got a question. Was it a common rider?
No.
That's actually a good joke.
Why don't you explain to the rest of the world what
in Japan, Kamen Rider is like a superhero guy that drives around on a motorcycle.
A proto Power Ranger.
He's kind of like a Power Ranger guy. He's like a bug. Yeah. But he drives around on a motorcycle. Fuck. I honestly, I know that joke's gonna kill in Japan, so I'm not worried about you guys who never watched a foreign film.
The man said he'd been riding motorcycles. So he's 69. That's the important part here. Nice. Here we go. I got to read that whole line again. So when police asked for the rider's driver's license, the 69-year-old man admitted that he'd never had one. The man said he'd been riding motorcycles since he was 17, but that he failed his driving test 6 times. So he gave up and just started riding without a license. The man told police he bought his motorcycle 4 years ago and simply told the dealer that he forgot his license. And the dealer believed him. The man has gotten 2 prior tickets for riding without a license. The first was when he was 17, and the second was around the age of 50. These fines can run up to $3,600 each, while the cost of a driver's license test is around $22.
Man of principle.
I don't know how to do the math, and I don't know anybody who does, but I feel like he probably saved money in the long run.
I think so.
I mean, if
That's
he failed a lot.
If you never get a driver's license, then you're eventually going to come out ahead. Like that.
Yeah.
People know that.
Do you have to have a driver's license to get a car? Do they really check that?
To drive the car away, they probably want to make sure you have a driver's license.
Yeah,
I don't know. Have you ever talked to a car salesman? Because I feel like you could.
Oh no!
I feel like if you sold something, you could have a an open bag full of human heads, and as long as they got as long as they got as long as they got that commission, they didn't give a fuck.
If you're paying cash, then no one gives a shit. I'm sure you just show up with a big bag of money and say here. But if you've got any kind of financing, the problem is here in the States, at least, there's so much data attached to your driver's license number. You could have an ID card, I guess, but
I bet there is in Japan too. I suspect.
What side of the road do they drive on in Japan?
I feel like there's got to be some kind of insurance requirement between the time you get the car and the time that you transfer it over to your insurance.
They may not require insurance in Japan.
We drive on the right-hand side of the road. They drive on, as the British say, the correct-hand side of the road.
So clever.
They do drive on the other side of the road.
Okay.
Just like in Hawaii.
Oh, also, breaking news.
Uh-oh.
Shit, sad breaking news. It's not actually breaking. It happened yesterday, but we'd like to give a RIP out to the gentleman who played TC on the show.
Oh, yeah.
Mosley.
Island Hoppers Tourism.
Yeah, Roger E. Mosley, best known in his role of the helicopter pilot Theodore T.C. Calvin in the 1980s hit show Magnum P.I. has passed away at 83 years old. T.C., we love you.
TC was a good man. I thought you were going to say something about Olivia Newton-John, and then...
Oh, and also, breaking news just in the wire. Thanks for alerting us, Brian. Apparently, we're getting news that Olivia Newton-John has passed away at the age of, and I don't even have to look at this, 73.
Is this just going to be just us reading celebrity deaths now from now on?
These are all within the last 2 days.
Yeah, these are people that we've talked about extensively on the podcast.
When did we mention Olivia Newton-John?
We've had like 2 stories about the song "Let's Get Physical."
Yes,
that didn't happen.
No,
and we've talked about things being greasy before.
Yeah, we
have.
Guess
what movie she was in? Grease.
Xanadu.
And Xanadu.
Was she in the Pelican Brief?
No, she was not in the Pelican Brief.
She was in. It was an animated movie about birds called The Pelican's Brief.
Oh, okay. I can see how I would have made that mistake.
And it was about a briefcase at a. It was sort of like a Pulp Fiction, but with pelicans and animals.
Right. Lots of scenes of bird corpses with just red sprays all around them.
Yeah,
with snow from
according to the internet.
Lots of swearing.
She was in Sharknado 5.
Well, good for her. She was still having fun.
I don't know.
She didn't need that money.
Yeah, maybe that's fun.
Don't you think she's set for life from Grease? No, but I mean, seriously, surely she is going to make, just for being in Grease, she's rich forever.
One of the best-selling albums of all time, and she's got songs on it. Between the movie and the record, but especially, I bet the record, she did real well.
Right. She's Australian?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. She probably got free food at Grease Monkeys.
What are you talking about?
Oh, no, shit. That place is called Gas Monkey Bar and Grill. Or is it Grease Monkey Bar and Grill or Gas Monkey Bar and Grill?
I mean, I think...
You know what I'm talking about?
Grease Monkey's a pejorative for mechanics.
Yeah.
Huh. But no, the TV show.
Well, but no, the show,
in Dallas,
there's a
Texas.
show in a restaurant. And it was the whole thing. Like, we're a bunch of We're a bunch of hardworking mechanic guys that live in a multi brand new $1 million spot that we paid a lot of guys to paint to make it look like it's rusty.
Yes.
Whatever. I'll play there again. Have me back, grease monkeys.
So anyway, we've got a 69-year-old man who's been riding. What is the right word for that? I couldn't really.
Mm-hmm.
All the two articles I found, they just referred to it as driving, but I don't feel like I would go
Kevin,
like, hey, what?
Was he a common rider?
we already had that joke, and it wasn't that good the first time.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. I forgot about it, and then when I heard it come from somebody else, I was like, oh, that's funny. Pretty good.
So he'd been for 52 years. He'd been riding motorcycles without a license.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing. I feel a little dumb because I'm not that smart. And two,
we agree.
I don't believe that at all. I think you're very intelligent.
Thank you. I was fishing and you took the bait.
I'm just being supportive of what you're saying.
I don't get a lot of positive feedback in my life, and sometimes maybe I'll just start asking for it directly. Okay.
Right.
Did you just say in my wife?
Oh, that too. I said life, but I don't get positive feedback from her.
Probably don't need to say that, Mike.
She's gonna hear this.
Hear it. It's not gonna go well for you, I think.
No. This is a cry for help for her to listen to me.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, listen, I will accept negative attention.
Uh-huh.
All attention is attention to me.
Right.
Positive, negative.
Just shocked we're hearing this.
Inconsequential.
Right.
So sometimes I act out. It's not a big deal.
Uh-huh.
I probably will outgrow it. If I could get back on Adderall or Ritalin, I think this would probably clear a lot of stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
But I was going to say I feel dumb because you're saying a Harley Davidson tricycle, and in my head, I thought it was a somehow souped up little child's.
You're not far off.
No, so what? They're just like wide motorcycles with like big seats.
Yeah,
but 2 wheels in the front, 1 wheel in the back.
No, two wheels in the back, 1 in the front.
I don't think they make them that way.
If you saw it, you probably wouldn't even realize. You'd just be like, "Oh, that's a really thick motorcycle," because you don't really see 2 wheels independendly.
Yeah, with 2 C's.
That's from all your time spent playing that porn game.
Yep. There is a level where you're driving on a motorcycle and you're trying to chase down a lady. It's a Miata, and you're trying to ram your rod into her. So this dude,
yes,
this guy in this big Harley trike, he finally gets pulled over, and he's like, there's
so little crime in Japan. They all the patrolmen knew to look out for this one motorcycle that was committed 1 hit and run 2 months earlier, and so they saw the guy, and he's like, oh shit, and he turned and went down a super narrow alleyway where the cop car couldn't follow.
Did it get narrower and narrower? Oh
yeah, no.
Well, apparently some guy jumped out of the car and just chased him down. And I think he did get stuck. I think it was like a dead end. And so he's like, well, what do you want to do now? And he's like, okay, I don't have a license.
Well, and Kevin, I want to apologize. You were right. I thought for sure that they only made those with the 2 wheels in front, 1 wheel in the back. But nope, it looks like they're still made in the, I think, very unsafe 1 wheel in front, 2 wheel in back configuration.
Well, I'm glad, once again, I can, you're a big enough man to apologize to me for being wrong, Brian. You haven't gotten sick of that yet.
It's never going to happen again.
Let me tell you, Brian, I'm going to tell you right now.
Yeah?
You didn't apologize and you haven't yet. What you need to do is tell Kevin that you accept an apology.
But nobody apologized to him.
I accept that you accept my apology. Yeah, I can do that.
But you didn't apologize, so I didn't accept your apology.
Now you're still on top.
No, so you're missing the point,
Mike
Kevin.
Told you
now you're
makes you a beta.
Now you're having flip-flopping emotions. Yeah. You're having flip-flopping emotions, and you don't know how to handle it. Brian seems to be the same the whole way through.
Right. You seem pretty immature about all this, Kevin.
He has got the same demeanor.
Look, I'm just saying that I accept that you accept.
I'm a flip-flopper.
Right, can you believe this guy?
I'm just like Al Gore. I'm a flip-flopper.
John Kerry.
Oh, man. I love it when we go back in time 20 years. flopper.
Well, this guy's kind of a hero. I wish I would. I hope that the Yakuza breaks him out of jail.
Yeah?
He's probably not going to jail for this. I mean, he's probably just getting a ticket.
Are you sure? I thought this was the kind of thing you do go to jail for in Japan.
Yeah, I don't know how Japanese jail works.
You can murder millions of sentient octopus or octopi, but you drive without a license, you're going to go to jail.
Octopods.
Yeah.
Octopods? I don't think that's right.
You can kill stacks of dolphins.
Stacks of dolphins.
So our next story is a bonus story.
Bonus.
If you want to listen to this, go to our Patreon and subscribe at least the $3 level. That's the Knights of Kevin level. And you'll get access to this and all of our other bonus stories. And I'll give you a little taste here. This story is something that would really interest Mike's children, Legolas, and especially Six-Piece Chicken Nugget.
Oh, wow. This might be a birthday idea in here, Mike.
But I'm guessing Khal Drogo and Mar-A-Lago will have no interest in this.
Mar-a-Lago's always stuck in a room crying, and Khal Drogo's always lighting something on fire.
Did you name one of his kids Legolas?
Yeah, I thought he had a kid named Legolas.
No, that would be silly.
I don't think I did. I think that you're confusing kid with some of the. Well, but yeah, I do. You know, a big brothers and sisters type situation
with a kid named Legolas.
Are you the big brother?
I teach troubled kids. I teach troubled kids how to role play Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh.
Right. You were so effective at neglecting your own children. You have time to devote.
They're not interested. They're not interested.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're going to move on to our arts and culture section. And this story was submitted to us by Blake.
Hey, Blake.
Florida? Is this Florida Blake?
Yeah,
or
Florida
is it
Blake.
one of the Carolina Blakes?
This is Florida Blake. He sent us a bunch of stories.
Okay.
He sent us a picture of Vinegaroon.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, yeah. I like
Blake's
Blake.
fucking cool. Yeah. I bet he can watch porn all day and not get off. He's awesome.
He's in Florida, so, you know.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to. They all walk around topless there.
That's true, yeah.
I mean, I bet there's like not a single porn game he hasn't mastered.
So this story comes to us from The Guardian.
Oh, what are they guarding?
Back in episode 80, we talked about an artwork called Comedian, which was a $120,000 artwork of a banana duct taped to a wall.
Yeah.
Now, an Australian artist has debuted a new work in a New Zealand gallery that he titled Pickle. Pickle consists of a single slice of pickle plucked from a McDonald's cheeseburger and flung onto the ceiling of the art gallery. The artist agent has come to his defense, saying the work confronts viewers with, quote, the way value and meaning is generated between people. He added, quote, as much as this looks like a pickle attached to the ceiling, and there's no artifice here, that is exactly what it is. There is something in the encounter with that as a sculpture or a sculptural gesture. Online response to Pickle has been mixed, with one commenter saying, quote, I got kicked out of a McDonald's by police for doing this when I was a teenager. Now it's art. The work is selling for 10,000 New Zealand dollars or around $6,300.
What did they call New Zealand dollars?
That's what it's called.
I just wonder if they had like a name for it.
New Zealand dollars.
For a New Zealand dollar. I'm sorry.
Magwams.
It wasn't clear from the article whether the buyer gets the
Zablots.
It wasn't clear from the article whether the buyer gets the actual pickle, but the purchase comes with instructions for how to make your own version of pickle at home.
Oh, like the pickle home game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I would argue that the kid that was like, oh, I did this when I got in trouble for it. Like, yeah, but you were too fucking dumb to sell it as art.
Right. Your intent wasn't to create something. Your intent was to vandalize something, which is also super cool.
Yeah, but you got to figure out how to market it yourself. Probably got to get a stupid haircut. That's going to help too. Yeah. Take if you're right-handed, with your left hand, grab some scissors and go to town on one side of your head, and you say that it's a statement in the imbalance in our society. And then from there on out, you got weirdo cred, and get yourself a little bit of weirdo cred. That's key for an artist. A little bit of weirdo cred, and then from there you can do stuff like this. Because it's weird because I think in my more radical reject norms kind of days, I would have fucking hated this for some reason. Like I used to hear about stuff like this and go, it's so stupid. I don't understand it. It's so stupid. But now I think it's legitimately cool. I think it's cool because someone duped something over a bunch of people, whether they even know that they're they might even be sincere and thinking that they are enfants terribles or whatever. Like that there's some that they are some artistic like weirdo. But the fact, even if they buy their own bullshit, the fact that people are duping people with shit like this it's glorious to me. I think it's great, and I hope I can figure out how to do it one day.
It would only be stupid if you were the one buying it, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, you meant like if I did that, it would be so stupid.
Right.
Yeah, that would be correct. But if somebody else is spending their fucking money that way, whatever.
I bet the instructions are real fucking nice.
Oh, yeah.
I bet they're pretty funny.
I bet they're in some kind of like crazy contraption or something like that. You would think anyway. Or the exact opposite. They're just handwritten on a piece of note cards or whatever.
A used McDonald's napkin fished out of the trash.
Like ketchup smeared on there.
Yeah.
But I mean, no question though, if you had this, if you heard it was for that price, how much did it go for, Kevin?
10,000 New Zealand dollars or 6,300 US.
6,300. If you heard right now,
10,000 what?
New Zealand dollars.
I don't know.
Back rock around. Let's call it an even $6,000.
Okay.
And say that you randomly inherited, some fucking storage facility that your great grandfather, and you got to go clean it out, and he passed away. You never knew him. It's your great great uncle. You knew he did some stuff in the art world. You pull it out. It's mostly just crap. But then you find this thing, and it's official. It's the same thing. It's like a withered up pickle. And there's photos of the first time the pickle was done, and it's all the instructions, and there's a little seal that says you are granted the full power of the pickle or whatever.
Okay.
And the artist's name was Andy Warhol.
Okay.
It was Andy Warhol that did this, and it was like you're like, oh, I got to pay $6,000 in order to like get everything out of there. Wouldn't you fucking buy that thing in a goddamn heartbeat?
Oh,
yes.
Sure.
As long as there was provenance.
A lot of art is investors that are investing in a financial speculative thing, I think most art, especially at this level, is not probably bought because goddamn, I look at it and it makes me feel all of the emotions that I want to feel. They're buying it because I don't want to fucking sell this shit later on.
It's a good way to launder cash too, right?
Oh yeah,
you hide assets in art pretty easily.
Yeah. Totally, totally.
Because it's all an arbitrary value anyway. So it's really easy to launder money through just saying, oh well, this is worth this now.
I've got a new piece that's coming out now, and the piece is called Positive Rattlesnake.
Oh.
And what it is when you come to the viewing, if I sense it in you that your soul can take positive rattlesnake, I just do this.
It's just a gesture.
It's just a gesture.
Right.
I'm giving the hang loose sign, and I'm pointing the pinky towards you, and I'm shaking my hand. And in the back is the tail. The tail is shaking.
Is it people enter one at a time into some kind of booth?
Yep. That's what happens.
Man, I like this.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's something here.
And when you get out, you get a thing that says like USDA choice deemed 100% posy.
Right.
It's got a snake, and then the tail's holding a bottle of Alpha Brain Monkey Mindset.
Oh, let's see. There's the brand tie-in. Yeah.
It says now for snakes.
Oh.
It's a little. You get a signed little number, and and so just saying.
In my head, it's like I like the idea of it. You walk in the booth and it's just you in a chair, like on a stool, but with your back turned to the person. The door's closed, and then there's just a spotlight on you.
Yeah.
And some sort of contraption spins your chair around impossibly fast.
Yeah.
And there's like a 1 second delay.
Like Dabney Coleman in 9 to 5?
Sure. You either let them know that they are a positive rattlesnake or they are not. Your hands stay on your knees and you immediately spin back around. And then the people are ushered out. Like there's no they're just taken out immediately. no matter what happens.
That's exactly what happens. And when I spin around, I am wearing entirely ostrich, like leather snakeskin outfit, like very Nicolas Cage. No, like a blazer, no shirt on under it, and I have just giant cool Mod glasses on when it spins around. And when I get like, and my face remains completely emotionless no matter what.
Right.
Except at one point, my ex-lover comes on. I did not know she was going to be there, that they were going to be there. And when it spins around, I just sit there motionless. And then under those giant glasses, you see one tear rolling down. And I put my hand up and I slowly give the positive rattlesnake.
I like that. There is a video feed that maybe it's not connected to the person until that happens. And that's the only time the camera spins around. And Kevin, they didn't have that chair didn't exist when they made Cloak and Dagger. So
yes, they did not.
Well, Cloak and Dagger was after 9 to 5.
Yeah, but I'm talking about Cloak and Dagger.
Right.
Filmed in San Antonio, Texas.
Oh, that's right.
The Riverwalk.
And it's a sequel to the movie E.T.
That's not true.
It's what happens after E.T. He leaves at the end of E.T.
Right.
So what else is up with that kid? This is what's up with him.
Well, like people, like they messed up with the name of E.T. because really, like Cloak and Daggers, it's the board game, right? But that was the second board game. E.T. was supposed to be Mousetrap.
What?
The way his head kind of goes up.
Yeah, and there's a little bicycle that rolls down a thing in Mousetrap.
Yep.
Well,
and there's that scene where they look at the bike and they think back. He looks at his bike and he looks back at his house at where they were playing the game. And he looks back at his bike. And he looks back at the house. He looks back at his bike, and then he puts one finger up, shakes it, and goes, "Hey guys, I got an idea."
Yeah, it's not super subtle. I mean, because part of the whole storyline with Elliot is that his dad died in a bathtub from falling into a bathtub from a great height.
Not in that movie at all.
In a swimming.
Yeah, well, his dad was his dad was in a rush to go to a bowling tournament, so he put his bowling ball on top into the bathtub, and the bowling ball fell on him and crushed his skull in the bathtub.
Are you ready for Get to Know Your Podcast?
Oh, man. Yes.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, this segment is called Get to Know Your Podcast. Sometimes during the course of the International News Service, we will make a reference to a thing that we, as scholarly news and journalists, have spent a lot of time learning about. We had to go to journalism school for 8 years each in order to be able to do this. And what classes do you take in journalism school? All of them. Quite literally all of them. So a lot of times we'll make a mention, not realizing that, hey, maybe everybody didn't go to Yale for journalism school. What this part is, we like to tell you those things, those brief references we've made, and break them down for you in case you don't know.
When are you going to do the history of Yale University?
Of Yale? I never went to Yale.
Yeah, what is
Yale?
that?
I'm sorry, of Yale University.
Yeah. It could come up if we're doing a section on super colleges that are super hard to get into.
Oh, okay.
That you have to get a super high score on your ACT, and you also have to have volunteered at a karate school for just to learn stuff, to teach kids to.
What about a super high score on Dig Dug?
To get an Eagle Scout badge, that was one of the things you had to do. That and sword play.
Okay, I understand now.
But sometimes we say things people don't know. And today we are continuing our walk down the seedy side of Hollywood with a little show that might not seem that seedy. I can't remember when we mentioned it. Was several episodes ago. A show with two titles. One, Our Gang, and then later, The Little Rascals.
That's right. The He-Man Woman-Haters Club.
The He-Man Woman-Haters Club.
That's right.
So Our Gang, it started off as Our Gang. It changed due to some legality reasons. It became The Little Rascals, but it was started by this guy, Hal Roach, right? And the big years, it debuted in 1922, started out as silent movies, or silent shorts, I guess, movies, but shorts. And it ran for 26 years, kind of an ongoing changing of characters because you aged out of it. Like you aged out when you were like 11 or so.
So like Menudo.
A lot like Menudo, although they did not have any Hispanic children in our gang. However, they were actually quite well. It's ambivalent. It's both. In some ways, they were very racially progressive. It was a huge deal, and a lot of these shorts could not get played in the South because they were based on little white kids and black kids playing together, going to school together, hanging out together, having fun together, sharing things together. And this was like a huge no-no in the South, a big problem, to the point where the studios were saying to director Hal Roach, "We need you to cut this out." But he's like, "No, I want to make these for everybody."
Nice.
Now, the other side of that is they had episodes where they would parody the KKK by the kids starting their own private KKK club where they all wear white suits. However, the black kids were allowed to join this version of the KKK.
Okay.
Well,
and when asked about it later, some of the adults, some of the few adults who made it to adulthood, which we'll get into, said,
there's a lot of curses.
That it was a lot of fun. It was all in the name of fun. But that being said, the kid that played Stymie, I believe,
your favorite, right?
Oh, well, Stinky was my favorite, but he was like one of the first, like really considered like he was the first child star, black child star. He was, he really was. It was kind of a big deal that he was. It really changed his life in that he was well known for that. And, it was a color barrier that was broken in Hollywood. So this whole thing of having these kids together that were playing as equals was a real color barrier breaker. Mm-hmm. But, however, it wasn't all, while these kids were some of the most famous kids in the world in their time, they also never made any money. The contracts were just complete fucking dog shit. They did not make money much at all of it. And it was really tough for them despite their huge success, they never really got too much work afterwards. There's a lot of copycats, and some of those copycats got a lot of work. There was our gang copycat group called the Little Gang or something like that. I'm trying to remember what it was. That had Shirley Temple. In fact, Shirley Temple and Mickey Rooney both auditioned to be in our gang and didn't get in.
Oh, wow.
Maybe we now know because Mickey Rooney was being a real dick at the time.
That's right.
Probably.
I didn't know. Little Shirley Temple, huh?
Yeah, Shirley Temple wasn't known as a dick. She was an ambassador.
I know she was not known as a dick, but she just she auditioned and she didn't get in.
She got turned down for work. And Mickey Rooney was a child actor, but he wasn't a child. Were there a lot of shows where Mickey Rooney played a 8 or 9-year-old?
I don't think so. I don't think he started that young. I think he was doing stage stuff, but
yeah, he was.
Shirley Temple started when she was the appropriate age. It's just how did they miss the talented Shirley Temple?
The youngest thing I could think of with Mickey Rooney was that I ever saw was A Midsummer Night's Dream, and he's a child in that, but I don't know how old he is. He's not,
he always looked like a child though. Him and Shirley Temple, they had auditions, but Hal Roach says he remembered that Rooney's audition saying he didn't think the younger actor would fit in with the gang, and that Temple just didn't make it past the audition. But like I said, Stymie was kind of a real color barrier breaker, and
good for him.
But unfortunately it didn't, and they lasted over 15 years. A lot of people, they churned out these motherfuckers. So many. I don't even know the full number of things that they did between our gang and Little Rascals. And a lot of that, there was a guy who directed for about 10 years from 22 to 33, and he just was so completely burned out he went to a mental institution for a while. And because it was just the driving thing of having to churn this out constantly with like 15 loudmouth kids and their angry parents, and just to have to do all that. So like I said, and there's probably a lot more details that I'm leaving out in the road to this, but I was going to say, like, what were your guys' experiences watching the Little Rascals? It's all black and white, and I remember the R Gang, and I remember Little Rascals, and being kind of confused by that. I don't remember when it came on.
Right.
I feel like it came on during the weekdays in the morning, just before cartoons, and then on the weekends, I feel like they played it after cartoons. It
was early morning for me. It was UHF. I never heard. It was never silent. I remember that. And
I never saw a silent one.
Right.
Yeah,
and it seems like every episode I saw, it was the era of Alfalfa pining over Darla.
Right.
Yeah.
And Spanky kind of being the ringleader.
Yeah.
Buckwheat was on those episodes.
Yeah.
Froggy.
Yeah.
There was a kid who always had piano lessons that they were always trying to get out of his piano lessons, I think. But
I remember something about Alfalfa's hair wouldn't stand down. He always had one.
Right.
Yeah.
That one.
I guess I must have seen that one 20 times.
I would say that the three ones that have carried their fame over to, I think, where we were, to me, that seemed like the famous are Alfalfa, who was a little white kid with black hair, freckles, and just one giant cowlick, this perfectly sticking up cowlick. And then you had Darla, which was his love interest. The other thing, Alfalfa was a bit nerdy. He would try and sing, and his singing was always very like he was the worst singer of all time, but he would try and sing her all these love songs. Darla was basically the prototype for Shirley Temple. She was just a precocious little girl who, she was like one of the few girls that was hanging out with all the boys. And then probably the most famous, I think, it'd probably be Buckwheat, who was a little African-American kid with big hair. He's probably the most famous. I feel like he didn't get that much screen time, but he's probably the most famous because Eddie Murphy did a version of him in Saturday Night Live years and years later. And there's actually kind of a funny thing that later on, there was two different guys who went around the country in their like 60s and 70s claiming to be former Little Rascals and making money off of it, and just claiming, because a lot of these actors kind of just disappeared. You don't know what happened.
Right.
The ones that you do know that happened, it's always not always a good thing. I'm going to read to you, as we've seen with the lovely Miss Judy Garland and Mickey Rooney. A lot of bad things can happen when you're a child star, when you're pushed to that limit.
Think of one.
Here's some of the things. Here's some of the ways that the Little Rascals ended up. Some of them made it to older ages, but not all of them. Norman Chubby Chaney, he's appeared in a whole bunch of them between 29 and 31. He was a chubby kid. He was the fat kid, they would say.
Okay.
And he was doing the acting. He was doing pretty well in that, but his weight continued to be a serious health issue. As a result of a glandular problem, his weight continued to increase. Before surgery, he weighed 300 pounds while standing only 4'7".
Oh wow!
Shit.
So at 21, he's that big, and he goes and he gets a surgery, an early form of like lap band surgery, or surgery to deal with his glandular problem, which, in good way, caused him to lose 190 pounds.
He was 300, and now he's 110.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
So he died from myocarditis shortly after. He was only 21 years old.
Oh man.
Oh, God.
Froggy was given the name because he had a strange gravelly voice, which many people said resembled a frog's croak. It was just kind of like this the whole time. I'm assuming,
Spanky. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it was something that he did. He actually had he was the longest running character, because even as he got older, they still kind of let him, even as he started to mature, they still kind of kept him around because his voice was so funny sounding.
Okay.
But, and by older, like he was 16. He had to leave when he was like 14 or something like that. But he stuck around later than other guys. And he actually really enjoyed it, had a great time with the whole process. They didn't make a lot of money. So he went back to his home in California. And then a couple years later was struck from behind while driving a motor scooter in what was considered one of the most gruesome accidents that the city had ever seen. Killed by a speeding truck. His parents had gifted him the scooter just 2 weeks before the accident. He was starting, even though he didn't need the money at this point, starting a paper route with it.
Man.
Darla actually lived into her 50s.
Oh,
yeah, she lived quite a while. She was 47. She aged 47. She had emergency appendectomy, and which was fine. It was fine. You know, they were able to deal with it just fine.
Good.
However, the blood she got transfused was full of hepatitis.
Oh no.
She died quickly thereafter.
No.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Bobby Weezer Hutchins was a young tag-along. He appeared in 58 Our Gang shorts between 27 and 33. 58 shorts between 27 and 33. The kids felt like nobody really knows a lot about this one. They felt his parents were really overbearing and would pull him away whenever he'd start playing with the rest of the children between takes. And he decided to become a hero. He's 20 years old. He joins the Army, and then the first training practice he has, the studio, I think, was going to do something with him. Like, oh, this is one of our kids that's joining the Army, but he immediately collided with another plane during aviation cadet program training. You know, they were like setting him up to make him, you know, the Hollywood, like, our stars are going over there. And I think they were going to do something, but it didn't even get over there.
Oh man.
You know, it's talking about people with way too many freckles. There was a kid named Mickey Daniels. He was a little kid who was super freckly. He's crazy freckly faced kid. He had an acting career with there. After Our Gang, he went into some vaudeville stuff, and then he became disillusioned with the film industry. Got a job as a taxi driver, and then they found him later on the streets in front of a rundown hotel in San Diego from cirrhosis of the liver at age 50.
Oh shit! Drank himself to death by 50.
Drank himself to death. Spanky, we all remember Spanky.
Yeah, Spanky.
Right.
Spanky was the ringleader. They're real cute. He's like maybe he died of a heart attack at 64. Was a businessman in Dallas. He actually was did pretty well. Buckwheat died from a heart attack. He was 49 years old. Also probably some alcoholism and drugs in there. So Jay Pinky Smith was another real freckly faced kid. He actually replaced the freckly faced kid that died, and because it was kind of like an archetype to all these characters that would kind of come and go. He replaced the first freckly faced kid, and then in 2002 he went missing. His body was found after several days. A vagrant that Smith had supposedly befriended was convicted of the murder and sentenced to 2 consecutive life sentences in prison. Yeah, he made friends and tried to end the guy killed him. He was 87 years old.
All right, so that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Till the very end.
It was like he made like a deal to make it that far. Like he saw the curse coming and said, you know, I can be violently murdered if I can live to be
I guess.
ready.
The oldest of the kids to appear in Our Gang, McThomas, was short enough to appear as a convincing grade schooler, even into his teens. He worked only as part of the series for 1 full year, though he appeared in 8 of the short films. When Breezy left the show, he also left show business. Shortly after, he started working at the Naval Weapons Center as an electrical engineer. He would eventually become an industrial mortgage bond bankman, taking on the moniker John Mandy. Facing mandatory retirement at 65, McComas suffered a fit of depression and took his own life.
Oh, no.
With a gun.
God damn.
Porky made it to 71, died of brain cancer. Waldo, who was kind of the alfalfa after alfalfa, he became a Christian, Seventh-day Adventist church, went to go do missionary work, and was hit and killed by a hit-and-run driver in 2002.
I bet it was the same truck that killed Froggy.
It may have been. It may have been.
Yeah, what if there's just this cult that only exists to eliminate anyone who's ever been in the Little Rascals or Our Gang?
It might, they do say that the Little Rascals had a curse, like, especially with Cliff Bone Dust Young.
Bone Dust.
I guess they called him Bone Dust. He appeared in 19 shorts between 25 and 31. To avoid confusion with the actor Robert Young, he started going by his mother's maiden name, Clifton. Young started out his career appearing in vaudeville from age 5. He did some of those years there, and then a few years later, he had a couple more roles, stopped going out. And he was at a rundown hotel on the seedy side of town, and he died. Bone Dust died after falling asleep, smoking a cigarette when a fire started in his bed. He was 33 years old.
There's a real good Three Stooges where that happens to Shemp.
And now, so I think we've covered most of the people, but I wanted to end. Well, the person who replaced Spanky was a kid that they called Porky. Oh no, the person who replaced Porky was a kid named Mickey Gubitowski, but his stage name was Robert Blake.
What?
Robert Blake was in the R gang, and quickly through him, his second wife was said to have scammed many multiple rich celebrities through various schemes. She was killed in Blake's car outside a restaurant. Robert Blake was charged with the murder. He beat the rap, but his reputation never recovered. Plagued by financial hardships, he filed for bankruptcy in 2006. So, but I wanted to kind of finish up with there's a few more here. What happened with
Robert Blake was a rascal?
Robert Blake was a rascal.
I think I knew that, but I always forget it because, the big story about Robert Blake is that he killed his wife.
I thought it's that he starred in Electro Glide in Blue.
And I've never seen that. Is that good?
It's all right. It's got a real shocker of an ending.
So Alfalfa, his real name was Carl Switzer. And, he had a lot of trouble finding work afterwards. He did get a couple things. He's actually in the 10 Commandments, briefly, kind of more as like an extra. He's in a couple other movies, but never as anything more than kind of like a one-line extra. And, but he gets really into training dogs. He's really into dog training. He's really good at that.
This will end well.
He offers to train someone's hunting dog. A treeing Walker Coonhound, a friend of his who he was a partner with and worked on some various stuff in the movie business. So at some point, the dog runs off to chase after a bear, and Slits was unsympathetic towards Switzer, the guy that he was training the dog for. So they got into a big skirmish over it. Eventually, they found the dog, and it was located and brought to the bar where Switzer was working at the time. Switzer, Alfalfa was also working at a bar at the time. Times is tough. The guy who rescued the dog was rewarded with $35 in cash and $15 in alcoholic beverages, about the equivalent of $450 in 2020.
Wow. Good deal.
The loss of the $50 did not sit well with Switzer, though. Alfalfa was bummed. He had to pay out that $50. During an emotional conversation with his friend, 37-year-old unit still photographer Jack Piot, that took place a few days later, the two decided that the owner of the dog should reimburse Alfalfa with the finder's fee. Their argument was that the dog was Stilt's, not Alfalfa's. So the two of them go together. They arrive to the dog owner's house in Mission Hills, and the guy was married, had some stepchildren. So they went up to go demand the money.
Oh, no.
There's some different accounts of what happened.
Oh, no.
But they all agree that the owner of the dog gets struck in the head, over the left side of the head, with a glass clock. Alfalfa freaks out, hits Stilts over the head with the glass clock. Then Stilts runs back to his room to go get his .38 caliber, his revolver. Then they go into a struggle and almost shoot Tom Corrigan, the 14-year-old stepson. Stilts says that the account was one of self-defense, testifying that Alfalfa banged on the door, yelling, "Let me in or I'll kick in the door." There was a threat, and there was a struggle, and then Alfalfa hit him with the clock. Okay. This prompted, obviously, in self-defense, went to go grab his firearm, and then Alfalfa grabbed the gun. The gun discharged accidentally, almost shooting Corrigan, almost shooting the stepson, and then the dog owner... and then Alfalfa, according to Stilts, threatened him with a knife, pulls out a knife. Alfalfa pulls out a knife and yells, "I'm going to kill you." And then the dog owner shoots Alfalfa, and it caused a massive internal bleeding, and Alfalfa was dead by the time he got to the hospital. And I should mention, he shot Alfalfa in the dick. That's where the massive internal bleeding came from.
Oh, man.
Oh, no.
He was shot in the dick. There was a huge controversy, a lot of back and forth in the trial. It was revealed later that the hunting knife was in fact a pen knife. But still, he did pull a knife on the dude in his home.
Right.
Over 42 years later, a witness came forward. It was another stepson, and he said it was more like a murder. He heard the knock on the door, and Alfalfa said, "Western Union for Bud Stilts." And then they open the door, and they find a drunk Alfalfa complaining about a month-old debt and how he needs to get paid. And Alfalfa was going to beat the shit out of Stilts. Stilts confronted him with the gun, and Alfalfa grabbed the revolver. They struggled over it. He said that it's somewhere in that fight is when they broke the glass dome clock over the dog owner's head, causing the eye to swell. During the struggle, shot was shot, hit the ceiling, was struck in the leg by a fragment, and then so on and so forth. And then it ends with someone getting shot in the dick.
Damn.
That will disqualify you from any and all porn games moving forward. Like, they're not going to let you compete.
And unfortunately, Alfalfa had a brother.
Oh no.
Who also
was a little rascal, or was just tangential to Little Rascal?
He was a little rascal too. He wasn't. He was never like really a lead. He did star in some stuff, and I guess it was fairly close with his brother. And his fate was also not a great one. Harold Switzer was his name.
Was Harold Switzer was he ever in one of the shorts? Or is this just like the curse has bled over onto?
He was okay. He was in the shorts.
Okay, so the whole Switzer family, the Alfalfa was just ended up being kind of the star of the family, but they all were.
Yeah, they were both hired at the same time. They were both hired in '35 by Hal Roach in the original R Gang days. Alfalfa
but that's towards the end of Our Gang, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Correct. That was before they became Little Rascals. He had small roles in some of the stuff. 27 years later, from when he first got in there, he met a sudden violent finish when he was working as a washer-dryer salesman and killed a customer in the course of a dispute.
Oh, wow.
You know how you get when you're trying to sell a washer-dryer? You know how fucking mad you get?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'd be mad all the time.
You want gas, not electric? What the fuck is wrong with you? You dipshit.
Well, they call it an agitator.
And then he went home and immediately killed himself with a revolver.
Oh.
So, and he lived longer. Carl, again, it is funny that Carl was killed by Alfalfa was killed by his dog walking customer, and Harold was killed by a potential washing machine customer. So bad time to be in the service industry. Well, that it would be about it. There is one story left. Petey the pup. Petey the pup.
Oh, with the ringer.
The ring around his leg. Yeah. He appeared in a whole bunch of those, but he's a dog. Dogs live and they die. It's sad. Sometimes they get hit by a car and stuff. Petey was poisoned.
What?
Petey was poisoned by what they consider was probably an angry person who worked on the R Gang set.
Oh wow!
Piece of shit.
Petey pulled in $125 a week too, so nobody knows it. But it was a sudden poisoning, and they think they know who did it, but it's kind of like a weird loss to history.
So wait,
what the deal was?
If it's still unsolved, we could be the ones to solve it.
We could.
That might be the linchpin to the entire curse. That might be the one thread. Wow. If we were to start pulling, we start to understand why the Switzer brothers were killed in such strange ways. We start to understand Darla's demise. We understand Froggy getting hit by the truck and the later truck murder down the road. We start to understand these things just by figuring out who killed Petey the pup. So probably rat poison, right? Whenever I hear something like sudden poisoning, I assume it's rat poison.
And it's one of those things like, dogs sometimes sneak into places and get antifreeze. This was a dog that was earning $125 an episode, which back then was probably like $30,000 an episode, if not that, if not more. So it was very well, this was the most important thing in their lives. I'm sure it was babied in the way that I baby my dog now.
Right. How much do you pay your dog a week?
I don't pay my dog anything, but it gets treated like it is getting paid $30,000 a week.
Do you think the last thing Petey the pup heard was, "Oh, you think you're so great"?
Probably.
You're so great. I feel bad for Petey. It is. That was a real Spuds McKenzie type dog too, right? It was another
very
terrier.
much so. Very super famous, super famous dog.
Probably didn't party as much, but
Well, yeah, I mean, who did?
Right.
I'm trying to think if there's anybody. There was Scotty Beckett, who had something of a career, but he just kind of fell down a bad road. He was fired from his co-starring role on Rocky Jones' Space Ranger, and he was arrested for carrying a concealed weapon, writing a bad check. His downward spiral continued, and he eventually checked in to a Los Angeles nursing home to seek treatment from a vicious beating he suffered in 1968.
Oh, wow.
He was found dead in his room 2 days later.
Oh, shit.
Though he had written a suicide note, it was never clear whether he had died from his own hand or from injuries sustained during the beating.
I feel like there is some sort of, like, in the year 2060, some time traveler figures out that the world is going to be destroyed by someone who starred in the Little Rascals or Our Gang, but they didn't know who. We don't know who it is, and they just had to go back and eliminate all of them.
Wow!
And like somebody's like, even the dog, even Petey the pup's got to go.
Yeah, even the dog.
Right, but it can't look. They can't look connected.
Well, this one guy's an old man. He's 87. No, you disguise yourself as a drifter and you take him out.
Right. We can't eliminate him as a possibility. This is for the greater good. The entire Little Rascals cast has to be eliminated. They cannot live to a natural age.
I mean, 87 is kind of a natural age.
Well, he had to be beaten to death.
He still got beaten to death. He still got beaten to death by a person he was trying to help.
Right.
That is crazy. I have breaking news. At 97 years old, the last remaining Little Rascal, Stenchy, just died.
I don't think that's right. I don't think that was a Little Rascal.
You know those three-wheeled trike cars, not the ones they have in Japan, not the Harleys, but the ones that two up front, one wheel in the back.
Right.
What you would expect. Yes.
Yeah.
The boomerang.
He flipped that in traffic, and they found massive amounts of cocaine in his 97-year-old bloodstream.
Good for him.
Yep. So they found the body, cocaine in the system. The trike's upside down.
Uh-huh.
They go to check his phone to check the records, and apparently he died playing one of those phone games that see if you can come. And he had died. Apparently there's semen found all over the car, all over the trike. And it was that he only made it 48 seconds. So edging up on a minute, but couldn't quite do it.
Damn.
Flew too close to the sun.
R.I.P. Stenchy. I'm out on the scene right now. This place is covered with shitty plastic trike parts and semen.
It's the 97-year-old with extremely well-functioning gonads.
Yeah, there's a group of mourners here that are all dressed like their favorite Our Gang characters. Some of them are dressed like the Our Gang characters as they appeared in the movie. Some of them are dressed like the Our Gang characters at the point of their demise. There's some very offensive suicide outfits and murder victim makeup, paying tribute to the last remaining R.I.P. Stenchy. Back to you, Kevin.
So that wraps up another week at the International News Service. Find us across social media at International News Pod. Email us at internationalnewspod@gmail.com. For just $10,000, we will provide you with instructions for how to flick our podcast onto the ceiling of your house. Check out the INS merch store at Redbubble and our Patreon. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to the International News Service. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. INS, the news you need.